Welcome.
Attention, please.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the No Comfort Zone podcast. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose. Broadcasting to the world from Rockford, Illinois. This is your wake-up call.
Warning.
You are the solutions to all your problems. Stop thinking average. Become the hero version of yourself. Every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. It all matters. You've entered the No Comfort Zone. It's time for a reality check.
Daily Drive headed in right now. Good morning. This is Dan, the No Comfort Zone guy. Hey, hope this podcast finds you well. I'm listening to another podcast on my way to work, and I thought, something triggered me from that podcast. So I wanted to share my point of view of what's going on right now, and I hope that's okay with you. So check it out. As I'm driving into work, the podcaster said, you're either in a crisis, you're either going into a crisis, or you're getting out of a crisis. And man, that is so true. Now, I think I could sum up my life in 5 extreme stories. And when I say extreme stories, I mean the real high and a really low. Maybe that's why I was diagnosed bipolar, and I'm not. Misdiagnosed is what I should call it. I should write a book called Misdiagnosed. Misdiagnosed on how the pharmaceutical and the medical world is overprescribing psychotropic drugs to people that don't know how to cope. So they give them drugs to figure out how to cope. That's what I should do. But anyway, I'm not going to do that right now. So I'm going to talk to you about where I'm at, where I'm going, and what this crisis thing, why it triggered me. So as I'm driving in, last night a guy said to me, I'm currently, believe it or not, in the middle of a crisis. And the crisis that I'm in the middle of right now is not that extreme. And not that extreme meaning my relationships are solid. My health, great. My outlook on life, phenomenal. However, I got some challenges, not just a couple challenges, but a lot of challenges all in one area, and that's work. I have a ton of challenges in there. And the challenge that I have is negativity. I have negative people in my organization, and it's driving me nuts. I am the positive guy, and that's what triggered me to talk to you in this podcast today. So a guy last night said, I just can't be around negativity. And I asked the guys that I'm around, and I go, do you find me to be sometimes negative? Do you find me to be that person? And they say, dude, you're never negative. And I'm like, holy cow, I got you all fooled, because I'm like hyper negative, except I don't show it. I try not to. I actually have the feeling from the cognitive therapy when I was misdiagnosed to realize that I didn't need psychotropic drug. I learned how to use the behavioral triangle, cognitive development. If you look it up, Google it, whatever. But that's what I went to rehab for, and that's what I talked to my therapist about. And when I finally realized the cognitive triangle or behavioral triangle, whatever it's called, it's pretty phenomenal, because as soon as the stimulus comes in at me, I used to react right away emotionally. Situation, react. And now if the situation happens, okay, that's where the whole problem solving came in. What's going on right now? 10%? What's the problem? 90% solution? That's from my personal growth, motivational speaking days. I learned all that stuff, applied the two. And so if I get negative, the only thing that I can do is realize that, man, how can I be positive? Because this isn't going to help anybody. But now when I'm trying to help somebody and they don't go along to my way of thinking, I kind of flip out a little bit internally. And now it's to the point where there's so much of it going on. And when I say so much, I think I'm lucky, because when I realize I only got 30% of the people that I work with that are actually negative. When I say negative, I mean negative. They will crap on your day. Can't say a positive thing. Complain about everything. Almost to the point, the complaint limit today is 10 and they're at 100. Trying to convince them to turn things around is extremely difficult. Getting my managers on board to teach them how to turn things around. And I was asked the night before, not yesterday, but the night before, I was asked, so what do you do? What do you do? New manager. She asked me the question, what do you do? And what do you do? What do you do? And I came up with this. It was on the fly, but it's something that I do. And it's something that I think in leadership, you need to set the standards. You need to let everybody know the mission is this. And this is how we're going to get there. And these are the things that you can't tolerate anymore. These are the things that you need to literally write out, show everybody, and let them know that, hey, moving forward, our organization, or we are, or your family, or whatever it is, or you're not going to tolerate anymore, but here's where we're going and how we're going to get there. For me, that's the blueprint that I created. That's the blueprint, the no comfort zone mindset. If something gets comfortable, figure out, wait, okay, I'm comfortable right now. Is that good or bad? Become aware of where you're at. Become really aware of what's going on around you. Identify how you got there. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty bad right now. Why is that? What's my opinion of the situation? Not other people's opinion, but why is this important to me? Identify. Then you have to decide where it is you want to go. What are your goals that you have, that you put in place, that you want to get to, that you want to aspire to be, and realize that you're going to have bad days. You're going to have negative people, but you have to persevere through that. And that's what I'm doing. I'm persevering through the crisis right now. So I'm in that crisis mode right now. And as I push forward, what I have to do is I have to take action. One of those is get everybody on the same page. Hey, here's where we're currently at as an organization. Here's where we're looking to go. I'm aware of where we're at. I have to identify, how did we get here? Well, we lack in these areas. We're good in these areas. I've identified. Decide what we're willing to do. We're going to do an activity or a call to action in this format. And this is the reasons why we're going to do it. Everybody's on board. Either you're on board or you're not. And at some point, if the person doesn't want to get on board, it's okay. They have to go. Because if they're not there mentally, and if they're not there spiritually, just because they're there physically, it's actually a detriment to your organization or to your thing. I called up an old friend last night, I'm all over on this podcast, but I called up my childhood friend, my best friend, the guy I grew up with, the guy that knows everything about me. What a great time to catch up. We caught up, we talked for a minute. Probably an hour on the phone last night. I've known him since 6th grade. We've been best friends ever since, through thick and thin, through childhood, through teenage years, through marriages. We've both been, and it's funny, when I moved back to the Chicagoland area, I was so excited to hang out with my best friend again, and I was moving back from Hawaii, and it was great, and I thought, this is awesome. And within a month, he moved to Pennsylvania. So, we've been friends forever. And when we talked, we picked up right where we left off. And having that connection, I had to apologize to him, because I told him, I said, man, a couple of years ago, I was kind of an asshole. Oops, didn't mean to swear on this podcast, but I did. I was that way because I was trying to get rid of negative people. And believe it or not, my best friend of all these years, I thought was in a negative place and wasn't helping me. And that wasn't really fair. There's maybe a better way to go about doing it. Maybe just because I didn't approve of the lifestyle he was living, it's none of my business. It really didn't affect me. But back then I was trying to find reasons why I wasn't successful. So I started to blame things. Sound familiar? So anyway, it was great to connect with him, and we've talked a couple of times since I disconnected a few years ago, but we really had a good connection yesterday, and it's all surrounded around this high school reunion, and that I'm not going to be able to go to, and there's a lot of people that are excited to go to it, and unfortunately I won't be able to make it, and I was asking him if he's going, and I don't think he's going to be able to make it either, so we're going to have to figure out a time to catch up at a later time. But what's great about where I'm currently at now so I've got somebody in my organization who believes that I'm never negative, and I shared with them that my negativity, and they were kind of like, wow, okay, so you're normal, okay. And the other person that I talked to about the issue, it was like, yeah, it makes sense. And now I tie this blueprint that I've created into it all. Now I just need to get the results. That's where I need to go with this. We need to get results. And I think if you have enough positive people, negative people just can't survive. It's like cancer. When you have too many positive cells around, it doesn't work that way. It actually becomes like, it's too hard for the cancer to survive or grow. So get rid of the sugar, get rid of the bad environment, and boom, the cancer's out. So at least that's what we hope. So that's where this is at today, and what's going on. And those 5 stories that I mentioned, if I'm gonna go back, because I'm all over the place today, if I go back to those 5 stories, that's what the book is about, on the highs and lows of my life, and where basically how I was in a really challenged state, and how some majorly great things had happened while I was going through some massive adversity. And there's about 5 stories that I can go through that can explain to you the highs and lows. And I think it's highly entertaining. I would think it's more of a rated R version, but at that point in my life, it wasn't very fun. even though I was having these successes and stuff, I didn't have anybody to share it with. It was at that point in my life where I was really lonely and alone because of my decisions, my choices. And it was also because, quite frankly, I wasn't doing it on purpose. I was doing it because it just seemed to be the next thing, or keeping up with the Joneses. I didn't necessarily have good character or integrity back then while I was doing it. And now where I'm at is different. Everything's very intentional. And I'm trying to go to a place like that again, not the same place, but to go to that place again. And that's the reason for the podcast. So if this makes sense, if this podcast hits you in some way, shape, or form about not being negative, disconnecting from old friends, reconnecting with old friends, or staying positive, or having a plan, if any of this stuff makes any sense to you, and if you're a person who wants to be positive, hit me up. Go to thenocomfortzone.com. I'm Dan at thenocomfortzone.com. I can help. I know I can. Get the blueprint in front of you, watch the 5 videos that I created to go along with the blueprint, and start going after your goals. And that's it. That doesn't cost you anything. Just go ahead and do that and see what's going to happen. You know, and I do believe this. I really believe this. I believe if you put the intention out there and you work every day towards it, I believe you're going to find happiness. And that's what this is all about, right? So, hey, listen, thanks so much for listening to my podcast. Do me a favor, iTunes, hit me up. I need some reviews. I'm lacking big time in reviews. I have listeners out there. I see that some different countries are popping up, but I need some reviews. I need some positive reviews. If you can help me out, if this has served you in some way, shape, or form, please hit me up. I need some reviews. I need some good reviews. So thanks, like and subscribe. I hope you have a great day and get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose.
Say goodbye.
Want more of the No Comfort Zone? You can follow Dan on Instagram and Twitter at NoComfortZone1.
Bye.
Or on the web at thenocomfortzone.com.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the No Comfort Zone podcast.
Bye-bye.